Hi, good morning, everybody. How are you? I am so pleased to have Lisa Perez with us today.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to another episode of Kapow in Action, where we showcase people who are prominent in the community and just are making some positive waves and doing some great things. So we're really pleased to have Lisa. Um, in my conversations with her, I describe Lisa as someone who's very soulful, very deep. She has a lot of dimensions to her, which I'm excited for her to share about today. She's extremely humble, and she lives on purpose and she lives with intention, is what I get from Lisa, and a lot of positive energy. So I hope that you enjoy this episode, and we're going to talk about her journey as an entrepreneur, how she became such a successful entrepreneurial diva that she is today. So Lisa Perez is the president of the human resources consulting company called HBL Resources, where she is a trusted advisor, a trainer, and a consultant to small and large organizations, including Virgin Hotels, the city of Miramar, and several other large corporations. She is a certified behavioral specialist, a speaker, a mentor, and she has been recognized for many awards. She recently was recognized as an honoree at the 100 Successful Women in Business Conference, an honoree at the 2018 International Career and Business Association HR Management Award. And during her tenure, more recently, as the director of HR for the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach, she was recognized as the Florida Hotel and Motel Association Outstanding Manager of the Year.
That was a long time
But
ago.
she is a mom, she is a wife, she's a grandmother, and she is a Kapow mentor and volunteer.
Yes, the best of all.
Yeah, so welcome, Lisa. Again,
Thank
for
you.
those of you who are watching this, please comment. We will be taking questions from you so we can ask Lisa your questions. So this is an interactive forum. So Lisa,
Yes.
tell us, welcome. So happy to
Thank
have
you.
you. How are
I'm,
you doing?
I am doing great. I'm so honored to be here and just love Kapow. I think you know that. So super excited. So thank you for the honor
Oh,
of featuring me on one of your shows.
you're so welcome. Okay. So tell us about the very first time or experience you had when you decided that you wanted to own your own business and why that was so significant. You mentioned to me about your dad.
Yeah.
You were 8 years old and
Yeah.
Brown's Glass Shop. Talk about
Yeah.
Brown's Glass Shop.
You take good notes. Brown's glass. My father was a glacier. And for those of you who may not know what that is, it is a trade skill where people work with glass, whether it's making a window frame or window, framing a picture with glass, anything having to do with glass mirror. Dad could cut it, frame it, do anything with it. And so he owned a glass shop in Brooklyn, New York. And I would come from school every day. And this one particular day, yeah, I stayed at Dad's glass shop after school. That was kind of like, babysitting time. And I got to answer the phone one day. And this is the first time that I was actively involved. Usually I just kind of sat there, did my homework and what have you. And Dad said, you answer the phone for me today and you answer Brown's Glass Shop. And I remember the desk being super high. I mean, I was only in maybe second or third grade. And I had to get up on this huge, chair to look over it. And I got to answer the phone that day. And I watched my dad interact with his, I experienced, and I just thought this was so cool. I want to be like Dad one day. I want to own a business. And I was about 8 years old, and it stayed with me all these years. And I've tried things throughout the years, as I'm sure you'll probably talk about. And HBL Resources has been I landed here, and this is where I'll be. So to build this for organizations.
That's amazing that at such a tender age, pretty much third grade, something so impactful as working in your father's shop and answering the phones made an impression on you. And it's interesting because that did something for you, whereas for others, it may not have made such an impact. So tell us, Did you have anyone in your life, as you went through this journey of shaping your future? Did you have people that came alongside of you and mentored and supported you? And you had mentioned, which I love, you said that you were figuring it out, and you kept going,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, when you asked me that question, I mean, it really gave me pause because other than my parents, I couldn't put my finger on anyone particularly that I could express as a mentor during those years, right? My formidable years, my college years, my early career. I don't think it was until about, gosh, it might be 15 20 years ago now, if I'm not mistaken, even longer, that I found mentorship through one of the businesses I was trying to get involved in. But I think my parents were probably the biggest mentors, and they really instilled in me that, there's life after Brooklyn. There's life outside of Brooklyn, although it's a beautiful place in my hometown. But back in the 80s and 70s, it wasn't as great as it is now. So they just really encouraged me to, my mother would say, reach for the brass ring. And if you don't know what that is, the carousels back in the day would have a ring. And if as you spun around, you grabbed the ring, you caught the ring, you got a prize, much like those games that you see in carnivals now. So that's actually something I talk about in my book, upcoming book.
That's amazing.
I don't have the book yet, but I will.
So you had your parents, and you had your dad, and you had your mom, and
yeah,
that's amazing.
Mentors, and your siblings at that age as well, but not as much as my parents.
Of course. So Mayor Frank Ortiz from the city of Pembroke Pines. Yes, who you know dearly. He was quoted in our city, Pembroke Pines, saying, I quote, "I couldn't be prouder of our staff and volunteers for partnering with the CAPAL program, which you are a part of, because the CAPAL program changes lives. And in your 8 years of partnership with CAPAL, you've been assigned to Pembroke Pines Charter FSU Elementary in 5th grade.
For the most part. I think only 1 year. My first year I was at Silver Lakes, maybe, or something.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so you developed and you created the infamous and ever popular lemonade stand, which has almost become like a tradition at the school, because this is something that the students look forward to, even if they're not in Kapow yet. They look forward to this lemonade stand day. And this has been featured in the media twice, right? Yeah. So tell us about this famous lemonade stand that you created. And I'm very curious your spin on how you took the Kapow curriculum, because you said that you wanted to share your perspective to the students from an employer's perspective, not an employee. And you also wanted to pass on the entrepreneurial spirit that your dad passed on to you. So talk about the lemonade stand. That's your baby.
It is. It's my labor of love.
Yes.
And yes, it's so great to see and hear the students who years before were in the breezeway getting their lemonade, now in the 5th grade get to do the lemonade stand. They remember that day in school, So thank you for asking that question. It is a labor of love. I love doing it. And, the Kapow curriculum is amazing. I mean, kudos to whoever's labor to put those lesson plans together. And I found that they really speak to the students from an employee perspective, right? The skills, the tools, the tenets, the beliefs, the attributes you need to be a good employee. And that is hugely valuable, right? We can't all be business owners. We can't all be employees. And so what I decided to do, being a business owner, I felt as though that I wasn't in alignment. And so I tweaked it to say, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. How do I use these lessons to make them an entrepreneur? And what better way than the good old fashioned American lemonade stand, right? I mean, for those of us, right, in rural areas, and I think I even did a lemonade stand, you know, somewhere in Brooklyn at some point, I think. And I wanted them to have that experience. So we take the lesson plans, and instead of, you know, learning teamwork, we put them in a team. Not instead of, but while learning teamwork, we put them in teams and create 3 distinct lemonade stands, and they have to find a logo, a slogan, what the name is. So they have the creativity with the lemonade stand. They have to draw out what that's going to look like. I mean, it's just an amazing time to see them. So they learn teamwork by, you know, just deciding, are we going with this logo or that logo, this name or that name? So there's voting, there's collaboration, there's teamwork. You know, there's a little struggle sometimes, but that is the world of work, right? We are going to experience that even as an entrepreneur with the people we surround ourselves with as our businesses grow. And so I use those lesson plans to speak to those points, but from the framework and vantage point of being the business owner. They own this lemonade stand, and they will be doing their budgeting next Monday in the next lesson. You know, where am I going to get all of the supplies, the ice, the mix? Am I going to make it, you know, fresh, you know, that kind of thing. And it's just so fun to see. They do commercials, and that's where we bring in the communication piece, right? So, I mean, your lesson plans were just perfect and aligned with a little tweaking to make the lemonade stand entrepreneurs.
So you mentioned that they create their logos and they have to advertise this.
Yes.
And they're even competing against other lemonade stands that are also there. So they have to, they're given a budget and they have to sell and all of that. Do you have anything you want to share? You had some.
I actually found, and I think my students don't hate me. Your pictures are still in my phone. We've got a couple pictures here that come from a couple of seasons, I think last year. Shout out to Miss Medina's class. And
are you sharing your screen?
I will as soon as I pull that up so you can see it.
Of course.
You know, technology doesn't always work when you want to, but there are some pictures from last year that we did with Miss Medina's class. And I'm looking over here because this is where my second screen is. So let me find that. And I'll show you the breezeway and the actual lemonade stands that were going on. And my screen share is coming right up. So as you know, this is actually, you know what? I might be able to show you the pictures because I'm not sure with going live, we can.
That's okay. Yeah, that's true.
So let me go ahead and from last year.
Hello. Lisa? Oh. Lisa? Hello? Well, I think we may have lost Lisa. I am not sure. I'm sure she'll come back, but Lisa, are you there?
So I missed you.
Yes, apparently so, but it's okay. I think when you shared your screen, something happened.
Okay, no worries.
So let's not share the screen probably.
Yes, no worries. Glad to be back. Hopefully we didn't lose any watchers out there.
Yeah, I think we're good. We can keep going.
Okay.
But let's keep going. So tell us about your amazing HBL resources. What do you do now in your company? You talked about, you have this passion for creating and developing and adding to the box and not just sticking to what's inside the box.
Yeah,
Right?
you do
had
take good notes.
Yes. So I would love for you to share your passion with HBL Resources. What do you do?
So I am a human resources consultant. And for those of you who may not know, what that means is I focus on the employees in the business. I help the employer meet the needs of the employees. That's hiring, that's retaining them, creating benefit programs, ensuring that their health insurance and vision insurance and all of those things are in place, that their retirement plans are being invested in, things of that nature. So we also do the management development, employee development. We'll do training, things of that nature. So I focus my services to employers who need those kinds of things for their employees. This is my little bear. I'm starting an activity. I want to name my bear, so I hope that's okay. I'd love to get some ideas from the watchers out there, the viewers out there. Kids, I need a name for my bear.
Why don't we do that? Yeah. So we have some people that are actually watching.
Okay,
so
great.
Comment and you put some ideas on what you want to call Lisa's bear.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I want names for my bear.
Yes.
So,
and then you can announce who she chose.
Yes.
We'll send an email of who she chose, the name.
Yes.
But yes.
And right now it's not a male or a female, so the name will dictate that too. So
Okay, good.
So that's what I do with my firm. I've been around since 2011. We launched in August 2011, but I do want to share that that wasn't the first launch of my business. HBL Resources originally launched in 1999, and I didn't quite have all the entrepreneur pieces put together then, right? It was up for about two and a half years. And I didn't have the right skill set to diversify my client base. All of the skill sets that we teach in the lemonade stand, right? The sales and the marketing and all of that. I had the service side. I could meet the need of the client, but I didn't have the other missing pieces. So I put HBL Resources on the shelf, but I always kept my eye on that shelf. And if you've got a dream, if you've got a goal, if you have something that you're really passionate about doing, don't let anything stop you. You may have some setbacks, but it doesn't mean that you have to bury that dream. So just keep your eye on that dream and keep going after it bit by bit. Reskill, re-equip, re-educate, get more training, get more education, and continue towards that goal.
That's fantastic. So, because it's interesting with your life's journey, all of your experiences that you've had has led to you, having this amazing company right now. And it started with a little girl being 8 years old, having a dream. And now that dream has been realized, but it did not happen without all of your corporate background.
Right,
You have
absolutely.
a wealth of knowledge and training and experience.
Right.
You've had some twists and turns and ups and downs, which are good and healthy, right?
Yes.
But your corporate background, you had, and I find this inspiring for me, you had it all. You had the 6 figures, you had the corner office. You also you climbed the corporate ladder in 10 years with one company, and you started off as a front desk clerk, and then you grew in 10 years to corporate director of recruitment and succession planning. And you moved around a couple of times with that same company. And you pretty much had it. Yet still you had this fire inside of you that still wanted to, have your own business. You still wanted to do that. So talk about, how was the adjustment for you? How was the adjustment that you had to go through when you made this decision to leave that corporate world and start your own business
Yeah.
and say goodbye to that six figures?
Yeah. Wow.
How was that for you?
It was a little scary, right? And thank God, shout out to my husband Mark Perez, who let me jump off this cliff and came with me, right? Because we gave up that big salary, we gave up that 401k, the corporate parachute, the great window view in Biscayne Bay, and he let me roll the dice on this dream. But that just shows he believed in me, I think. So thanks, babe. And so it actually, while it was scary and a little bit new, it wasn't that hard, because I came to a point where I was done trading my family's time, my children's time for that corporate gig, right? And shout out to those who can manage that well and who figured it out. It just wasn't for me. And so you've got to find what's right for you. And I don't look back in any way on my career poorly. I have enjoyed my career. I have been blessed in my career, and it's given me, like you said, what tools and education and skill sets that I have today to launch on my own. And so it was scary. It was scary. So I think that education, that corporate experience allowed me to have the intellectual property, right? Because all of the stuff I do is in my brain, and I'm not done with HBL. We're streaming on to a next phase of it with a book and webinars and online courses to develop managers. So I have not arrived yet with HBL. I'm still on that journey, and I'm thankful for it. But yeah, it was unshakable. I found the right time. I negotiated myself into a part-time vice president of human resources job, took a pay cut, and in the 2 or 3 days I was home, I rebranded, incorporated, got that infrastructure set up solid that I didn't have that first time, because I knew what I was doing this time, and I'm still figuring it out. You'll always be figuring out life, but it's about recognizing what you need to do differently and then do it.
And talk about you said that there was something you developed for the Department of Labor that was a game changer for you. That was the moment that you sort of knew that this is something you really wanted to do, which is, it comes down to helping people and being compassionate, which I think is the fiber of your being, is to help and be compassionate. So talk about that packet. That was so, that's what turned the tables for you in wanting.
Well, I knew, I had already known that HR was my passion, and I was the HR director at the Fontainebleau in Miami Beach. I'm sure everybody's got a Fontainebleau story. And 9/11 happened. And that really rocked the tourism industry, much like what we're seeing now is rocking every industry. And so I had to coordinate the layoff of 216 people. That's the number I remember. That's a lot of people to impact their lives. And I'd already been passionate about being compassionate as a human resources practitioner. And I figured out a way to serve them in light of the fact that they found themselves jobless, right? It wasn't their fault. And so we put together this packet. It was a binder. They called it, oh, am I going to get the binder? But they knew that it was a resource guide. It outlined the conversation, what we were talking about, because when you're in that type of crisis moment, right? You're listening to the fact that you've just become unemployed for no fault of your own. Everything's like, the cartoon Peanuts, mwah, 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 mwah. You don't pay attention. You don't really realize. So we wrote all the key information down. We provided links and resources to industries that were hiring, applications to other organizations that were hiring, unemployment information. How does it work? What do I need to apply? Where do I go? Because back then you couldn't do it online like you do now. And, their medical benefits, how long would it be? I mean, it had tabs and everything, So imagine coordinating 216 of them. And I trained the managers to help have those conversations in the way I expected them to happen, so that every employee walked out of that building with their dignity intact. That's my mantra. And so the Department of Labor got wind of it. Maybe somebody walked in to apply for unemployment and shared it. And they called me, and they heard about it. They called me, they loved it, and they wanted me to share it with them to give to other employers. And that was huge for me, because I knew that's world change, right? It may have only been Miami Beach world, but it was world change. And I knew that the impact that I could have was bigger than my building, my department, my hotel, my company. And that's, I think, what started this journey on where I am now, this book and the webinars and the courses and all that, which is called The Complete Manager Makeover. Shameless plug, follow me on Instagram, and take the journey to authorship with me. But that's where it came from. I knew that I could have an impact further than me, a positive impact. And that was cool. I think that was better than any of the awards that I'd ever received to that date. Not my Kapow Awards, but any awards I had received to that date.
That's fantastic. Now, I have been really inspired by your unshakable determination to keep going despite everything that happens and all the twists and turns and the circumstances, even during this pandemic. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
At times like this, people are unsure and uncertain about what they want to, their job. They may have kept their job, or they may not have.
Yeah.
Or they may have come to a point where they're looking to change careers, or they're at a crossroads in their career. Yet still, you are still steadfast, with your goal and your passion of helping people. You have not wavered, or have you ever? I guess that's the question. Have you ever second guessed yourself and said, well, maybe I should, take a step back and think about another course? Have you ever had to second guess yourself in your journey?
Yes.
And your mission?
Yes. I think, and it's strange, because the first time was when I was chatting with the CEO of Virgin Hotels. And I had just launched the business. He'd gotten the email. He gave me a call, because I was like, hey, I'm here to serve you. I sent it to every contact I ever knew. And he called and was asking me a little bit more about what I was going to provide and this and that. And he said, well, what happens when a big, CEO mogul from a big hotel company like Virgin asks you to come be their VP? And, I think between the lines, he might have been seeing if I was interested in that job for them. And I thought about it, and my heart started racing, because I thought, wow, this could be a great opportunity for me in my career, but it would take me away from my end goal, the business. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I would tell that CEO that they could use the services of HBL Resources. And I was like, I got off the phone and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Did I give up a great opportunity? Right. So I could be assuming that it was an offer, but I have yet to ask him about that. But I'm pretty sure, because then he hired me to help him find the VP of HR. And so that was right at the gate, right? And then, a few years ago, when, my dad passed away, I was his primary caregiver. And as in that role, I wasn't able to build the business and do some of the important things, right? The sales, the marketing, getting out there, making connections, doing speeches, engaging, all that kind of stuff. And so there was this huge dip being taken in revenues. And we live off this company, right? Between my husband and I, we need both incomes. And so it was a game changer then as well. It was like, oh gosh, am I doing the right thing? And I'm a woman of faith. And so I asked and asked and asked, and I heard clearly, stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. And then my daughter got married, and, you know, it pivoted again, and the revenues weren't there, and we had to have a wedding, you know, so there was needs there. And he said, stay the course. When she's finished marrying, take care of her, get her married, do all the tchotchke crap stuff for the wedding. It was all a DIY. It was so much fun. And when that's done, the floodgates will open, and boy, did they. It's been pretty steady ever since. So yes, there's going to be times that you second guess yourself and doubt. Make sure that you're not second guessing yourself because you don't know something, you're not doing something, or you need to be doing something different. If those aren't the things that are getting in your way, keep on barreling forward. Fix those things and keep on barreling forward. That's what I did. And have faith. If you're a person of faith, have faith and listen.
Right. What I get from you is, once you find your, and for our viewers, so our viewers today are students, teachers, you know, parents, anyone who's watching this will get some nuggets of wisdom from this.
Yes.
We hope. But for the students who are watching, and even for the adults, you know, if you have a passion, sometimes it doesn't even matter about the money, you know.
Yes.
It's the passion that is going to make you thrive.
Yes.
And I think what's important is for people to find their passion and to thrive in their passion and
Yes.
stay in their lane
Yes.
and do what is good and meaningful, and find those gifts and talents and those strengths that speak to their passion, which is pretty much what you've done. But it's been a labor of love, and it's been
Yes.
a lifetime journey, and you're still on this journey.
Yes.
You're not finished. So we have some suggested names.
I saw that.
Right. Okay, so we have, and keep those comments coming.
Yeah, we want to name the bear. We've got a contest going to name my I Love HR bear.
Right. We have Larry, we have Bob, Lilo, Steve, Nurse Bob, and Bear. So those are the comments we have so far. You don't have to make a decision just yet, but keep those comments coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Questions. We'd love to take some questions that you have for Lisa. So Lisa,
absolutely.
What skills? Talk about the skills that you need to have as an entrepreneur. You know, you have your own business. So what skills do you need to have, and what do you need to learn in school to also be good at what you do? And also speak to the fact that you had to almost renew and reshape your mind in how you thought. Yeah. From becoming an employee to now turning the tables to becoming an employer. Yes. That was huge for you as well, because you had to almost put yourself out there, which is, you know, being a humble person. That's not something that you're necessarily comfortable doing. So what skills do you have to be do you have to be a successful entrepreneur? Okay. And talk about this renewing of your mind, so to speak, that you had to go through.
The mindset. So skills, wow, learn everything. I'm going to say that. So I think obviously the academics are important, right? Your writing skills. I've got to write emails. I've got to write proposals I put forward to my clients and say, here's what I'm going to do for you, and here's how much it's going to cost, and here's what it's going to do for you. Those need to be well written. So writing skills, spelling, all of those, you know, English classes that you're taking, they're critical. You're going to need communication and written communication skills, no matter what you're doing. And I know that there's apps out there that you can dictate and it'll write it for you. They're not perfect, right? You still need to know that. And that's a critical skill, is written communication. Computer skills, obviously that's a no-brainer, right? Technology, know the technology, but don't know just the basics of what that technology can do. Know what it can do in an advanced way, right? Because that sets you apart from the rest. If somebody can only do the basics on Microsoft, but you can do the basics, the intermediate and the advanced things that it can do, like charts and tables and graphs and grids, that's going to be a game changer for you to be selected, not only as an entrepreneur, but as an employee as well. Bringing those skill sets. Math, right? I'm not gonna lie, I've got my, you know, calculator here. I've got Excel to help me with spreadsheeting, but trust me, there's a lot of notes in front of me with some math on it too. So those are important skills. So all of the academics are important, but communication, verbal as well. You're going to be interacting with tons of people, other business owners who could refer you business, your clients, clients, if you get lucky enough to get secondary referrals from them, which we are fortunate to have. And if you're listening and watching, thank you for my clients, who have done that for me. But those are all critical skills that are required. But I think the most important one, right, you need sales and marketing and, all of those things, finance. I need to know how to do my accounting for my business and what my students will learn, right? Revenue and budget. And if I bring this much in and I spend that much, what do I have left over? Because that's what we live on, right? Those things are important to know. You've got to understand the financials of your business. That's critical. You can delegate it, but know it yourself. I had a dear mentor of mine, actually the general manager at the Fontainebleau. So remember I said it was not until my later career. And he always said, do not delegate what you cannot define. That means if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know the definition, if you don't know how to do something, don't give it away to be done, because you don't know what to expect, right? You don't know what it's supposed to look like. They could give you anything, right? You hear people getting robbed out of all their hundreds of thousands of dollars. Got to have your eye, right? So mindset, right? You said there's this mindset shift, and there was a very different mindset between an employee and a business owner. And I love some of my students throughout the years. They're Shark Tank fans. So shout out to my Shark Tank fans out there. But that's a different mindset, right? Being the one who has a steady paycheck, right? If you even get one in these times, to being the one who has to get the steady paycheck, actually be actively involved in bringing that revenue in. That's a big mindset shift. And I had to also get out of my own way because, my dad always said, don't boast about yourself, right? No, don't be patting yourself on the back and be humble. And while I am that, unfortunately, entrepreneurship requires me to talk about all those things in my bio. Why? That's what my client is purchasing. The expertise, the accomplishments, the get her done kind of things that my awards and plaques and all that stuff show, right? I know what I'm doing. So I've got to learn to talk about that. That was really, really hard. And it still is, but it has become a little bit more of a foundation to just simply say, I know what I'm doing. I know how to serve you. And here's what proves it, right? The track record. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have our last question. Well, not really, but we're almost to the end.
No worries.
What advice or encouragement would you give to our viewers who are watching and those who will be watching in the future? For those who, want to be an entrepreneur, they want to have a business and they're inspired by you and other business owners. What encouragement do you have for those people? What can they do today? Even young people who are in school, what can they do today to realize their dream? What encouragement do you have for those people?
Wow, go for it, right? I think that so I believe in a couple of things, right? That's a big question. Plan A, B, and C, right? We can't all be soccer players and baseball players and football players and basketball players and all those kinds of great things that we see in the sports world. We can't all be CEOs and entrepreneurs and all that. So we all have this innate desire and passion about something. But if you've got that innate passion, I'm not saying you can't be all of those things, but you've got to be willing to do the work to get there. You can't be the best basketball player if you're not on the court every day perfecting that craft, right? You can't be an entrepreneur if you're not doing something every day to learn entrepreneurial skills, right? That could be reading a book. That could be, reading some articles or blogs or listening to podcasts about business ownership, taking a course in finance, sales, marketing, operations, all of those kinds of things. If you're not doing something every day towards that goal towards being that best entrepreneur, author, speaker, employee, whatever it is you want to do, but make sure that it's aligned with something you love. I think I told my students a couple of weeks ago, write down the things you absolutely enjoy doing. And some of them said drawing and art. Those could be the future Peter Maxes of the world, right? Or name your favorite artist, right? Romero Brito, because that's where we are, which your Kapow logo reminds me of all the time. So find those things that are innate in who you are, and then find a way to get paid for doing it. That's how, you really will enjoy what you do and not feel like you work. I don't feel sometimes like I work because I love what I do so much. I could be in here doing what I do all day. I don't think my husband would like that much, or my kids, but I could, because I love it that much. I'm passionate about what I do. Find a passion and figure out how to get paid for it, and do the work it takes to be an expert in that field.
Right. What I hear you saying also is almost like practice your dream. Like
Yes.
it's like a dance, dancers watch back videos to practice, and they practice and they look back again and make tweaks and, modifications. It's almost like practicing your craft, whatever that craft is, and stay in that zone.
Yes.
And
Yes.
keep at it, don't stop. So what do you
Yes.
have to say to people who are still trying to discover, what their gifts and their talents are, and, are still trying to figure it out and figure out their lane and their dream? What would you say to those people? What encouragement do you have?
I think there's a couple of things there. Be observant, right? At 8 years old, I observed my father being a business owner, right? Now I could have sat there all day and just picked up the phone and answered and on and off and on and off and on and off and what have you, and completely missed the fact that my father was the owner of this business. So be observant to the world around you. Take note of the roles, the jobs, the functions that are out there. If you go to the grocery store, you'll see 5 or 6 different things that need to be done, right? Now, I'm not advocating everybody be a grocery store worker, but be observant of the things that are out there. When you're in the doctor's office, you could be the doctor, but you could be the technician or the administrative assistant so open your mind, expand your vision, so that you do really look at the world around you and what is out there and available as a vocation, as a job, as a career, or as a business to own or create one yourself, right? There's many creatives out there. Find a problem that needs a solution and fix it, right? The sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. And you're only, I think, restricted by the inability you have to think outside the box and dream big. Dream big. But, there's a saying, a goal without a plan is just a dream. So have the plan. What are you going to do? Are you going on the ball court every day? Are you going to take English classes because you want to be a translator at the UN? What is it? And then take the steps to get there. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was perfect. That was amazing. Yeah, take the steps.
Yes.
Pretty much take those steps,
Mm-hmm.
And try to be a part of the solution.
Yeah, there's a whole world out there, right? We've got to notice it.
Yes, and it's okay if you make mistakes.
Absolutely.
You just get up and go again.
It's an opportunity to learn.
We have one question from Project Epic, and the question is, what does HBL stand for?
Thank you for asking that, Project Epic. HBL stands for Home Business Life, because I believe that the services, the functions, the training, the development, everything that I do meets the need of a home, because employees run a home, a business because I serve business owners, and your life in general through some of the other training and development services that we have. So if you learn about communication styles and can better build rapport with people, that serves your life, that serves your business, but that also serves your home to better communicate with those loved ones. So we do some communication skills training and stuff like that. So behavior styles and stuff. So thank you for that question.
Okay. Now we have some more comments. Keep those comments coming.
Yes, and the bear, Name My Bear. If you're new to watching, Name My Bear. We got a couple of suggestions. Yep, I need a name from a bear.
So some comments that have been coming up on the chat are about, how do you start a business without a lot of money, because people are afraid of failing. It is truly a step, a leap, in uncharted territories. Talk
Hmm.
about starting a business with not a lot of money, and not being afraid of the failure that looms in the mind, that this may not work, if you don't have much money to start.
Yeah. So I want to speak to the fear of failure thing first, because that is going to be a constant, I think. We all have that little, person on our shoulder that says, you're not good enough. You can't do this. Who do you think you are? What do you mean you're worth XYZ amount of money? And they sit on your shoulder and they just keep talking and talking and talking to you. So my advice there is just kind of knock them off. Okay. Just knock them off. Because you can do it. You are good enough. You are worthy. You know what you're doing. Stay the course there. So fear will always come up. Be ready for it, but always also be ready to fight it, knowing that you do have the skill set because you've prepared it, like we talked about. So I'm sorry, I got so confused, with the fear thing, to knock them off the shoulder. What was the second piece of the question?
About how to start your business.
Yes, starting the business. So plan, right? A business plan is critical. What are you going to do? Who are you going to serve? What is your product going to do? What problem does it solve, right? All of that business plan, you may or may not have heard that, but it starts with a business plan. And then it starts with, obviously, some investment in yourself, right? I had to save up some money before I left my corporate job because it's not going to take off immediately, right? And we still needed an income. So we lived off what we put aside to work on. And fortunately, I did get that big account from Virgin Hotels, right out of the gate. That CEO did hire me and was my very first and biggest client at that time. And so, but have that backup plan, because you may get that big client or you may not. So have a financial plan to sustain your business and your income while you build that momentum in your business. That was, I think, something that was so important that we did, to make sure that we were on firm foundation. And, anybody, well, most people, I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan. He does budgeting and stuff like that, have 6 months of expenses. And so when you're going to jump off this entrepreneur cliff, at least have that much in living expenses while you build your baby. And plan, right? Get the education, have your business plan, know where you're going, create a network of people, get involved with your local chamber. I'm a local chamber member. That's actually how I came in contact with John in 2012 or 2011 or something like that. And he came to speak at a chamber meeting because business owners need other business owners, right? We need to band together, find a mentor, get help. You don't know it all. I don't know it all. I'm still learning. So get those people around you who can teach you, and don't be afraid to invest in yourself. As an employee, your employer pays for your training and development in a course and this and that. The mindset shift is, I don't have an employer to pay for that anymore. I am the employer. I have to pay for that myself, because you're going to need that ongoing knowledge. I have a mentor, a business mentor today, right? I'll always have one because I'm always looking to get to the next level. And surround yourself with people that you want to be like, that are more successful than you. Because, Susie Jane down at the corner store or Susie Jane down at the basketball court who's not doing anything with their lives can't help you.
That's awesome. That's good. So, stay the course, surround yourself with mentors,
Yes.
and don't be afraid to ask questions,
Well,
and let people believe in your cause.
absolutely.
Maybe they'll invest in you. So even our young viewers today who are watching and thinking, I want to start a business now. I want to do my own lemonade stand, but I only have $10. You can surround yourself with people who can invest and help you. And then you can give back, they can give you a loan or something, a small loan, maybe $10 for you to start your business. Now, we have some more comments.
Great.
For the name of your bear.
Yay!
So we have Kapow or Pow. We have Poe Dameron, Kaz, or even Star Wars. Those are some
I'm a big Star Wars fan.
great names. What we'll do is We are going to give Lisa some time to think about that, or do you want to
Yeah,
make a
put them in
decision?
the if you could put them in my chat little box there, that'll let me see them all,
Yeah.
and be able to read the spellings and
Yes,
stuff.
and then what
Awesome.
we will do is we're going to send, we have a worksheet
Okay.
that we have created for the students. So we'll send the worksheet again if the teachers want to take this further and reinforce this interview with the students and have them do this worksheet. It's an amazing activity that just has them describe their dreams, draw their dream, and write a sentence about what they want to be when they grow up. So we'll send
Fun.
an email and then we will have the conversation going, and maybe we'll post what Lisa chose, so she has more time and we have more time to get more comments.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
okay, now we just are about out of time, but I want to thank you. I think that this was so inspiring.
That was
We're
fun.
almost up to the 1 hour mark. Uh,
Wow.
we had one more question. Can someone start a business at 14? That's the last question that will come.
Absolutely. Oh my
14
gosh,
years old.
absolutely. You absolutely can. There is a great, great story of a young lady right here in our backyard. If you're a Shark Tank watcher, she's a hockey player, and she was frustrated with, I think it was the equipment or something like that, and it just wasn't working for her practice equipment. And somehow she launched this huge, I don't know if it was lacrosse or hockey, but she's right here, I think in Pembroke Pines, and I can't remember her name, but absolutely you can. Get the support of your parents, let them know what you're thinking. That's your first, kind of supporter, right? That's your first mentor, is your parents, like mine were for me. Find out if any of your friends, want to get in on it, and just get that guidance. And absolutely you can at 14. I think I had my first business. I did the lemonade stand thing. I do remember that. And then after that, my first business was typing term papers for college students. I think I was 19 or something. So yes, you're never too young to start. Get your support of your parents. They can help you find resources and how to do what it is that you want to do, and go for it. If they're in support, go for it. And
Well, thank you. That's good. So that was a question from Jaden. Jaden, thank you for your question.
thanks, Jaden.
And thank you, Lisa. I think this was fantastic.
It was fun.
Thank you for your wisdom and for your encouragement. And I want to take this time to thank the students out there who are watching.
Yes.
We're thanking right now during this pandemic our
Yes.
first responders and our healthcare workers. And we want to take the time as a Kapow organization to thank all of our students who are Kapow students or who are even not Kapow students for always showing up. Every day you show up, you do your homework, you're there, doing your class, you're doing your assignments. And we know that you have also been affected by this, and you're not able to see your friends or see your teachers or give them hugs. And so we just want to thank you guys for being there. You are champions, you are amazing. Do what you do every day. Don't be afraid to share your feelings. You can always reach out to your parents. You can even reach out to your teacher. And we're also here to support and love you. But we congratulate you for making this journey so far. We're probably into 2 months of this. And I want to also thank the teachers, because the teachers are doing so much.
So
you're
much.
soldiers every day.
Yes.
You show
Heroes
up
as
for
well.
your kids. Yes.
Yep. Heroes as well.
You stay calm, you stay positive, you stay motivated for your students, and the energy that you give to your students, they in turn will share that same energy that you're giving.
Yes.
So for all of our viewers, I want to leave you with just a word of encouragement to live on purpose, to live with intention, to enjoy the space that you're living in, and
Yes.
to take it as a gift. This is a time to grow and to enjoy yourself, your family, and to turn this into a positive. There's always a positive behind those clouds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Should we name the bear?
Yeah, you want to name the bear? Go ahead.
I think in honor of my students this year, because I think that's where it came from, and the workers in this current pandemic, the name will be Nurse Bob.
Oh, I love that name. Love that name.
And
Well,
HR people are nurses too, trust me.
yes, yes,
So Nurse Bob it
absolutely.
is. Thank you for that suggestion.
Congratulations to the person who named the bear Nurse Bob.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to leave it there. I know that we all have other things going on. So, Lisa, lots of love. And
Thank
we will be
you.
in touch. Thank you so
Likewise.
much.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
bye, everybody. Stay
Bye.
tuned for the next interview. We will be broadcasting that very soon, and we will let you know who that person is. You don't want to miss it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Do I